Hey again, welcome back to Coding with Drew. In this video, we're going to learn about logical if statements for Bash. If statements in Bash are a type of compound command, much like the select command that we learned earlier. These start with an if statement and end with phi. It's very similar to something we've already learned, which is the ampersand chaining. This if statement will check the status of a test command, which we learned in the previous video, and see if it was evaluated to true or false, or 1 or 0. If it evaluates to true or 0, it will run the command that follows it inside of the if and phi. If it evaluates to 1 or false or exits with a non-zero, then the block will not run at all. So let's take a look at an example so you can understand what I'm talking about. Touch if.sh change mod 755 if.sh. And then we're going to do code if.sh. And so it should open in our Visual Studio Code. Now in Visual Studio Code, I'm going to paste a bunch of stuff here. Okay. The first thing I want you to see is the actual structure. It's always an if statement and a condition followed by then do a thing inside of the if and the phi. What I want to point out is this then is very similar to the ampersand. So if this command evaluates to true or exits with a 0, then the command that follows then will run. If this evaluates to false, this does not run. So let's take a look at this command here. If, and then you can see I put some breathing room in here, which is really important. Every time you use square brackets or parentheses, you should provide some breathing room. 1 equals 2, which is false. And then echo 1 equals 2 and close out. Okay, let's save this. And I'm going to run it. ./if.sh. Okay, we can see it ran, and it ran successfully without an error. But it didn't echo 1 equals 2. So what happens if we change this to 1 equals 1 and save? You can see that it evaluated to true and then ran the echo statement inside of the if and phi. Okay, this is a great example. It's cheap and cheesy, but it gets the job done. Let's take this a step further and look at this second part here. What I have is read-p or prompt the user for a number that they're thinking of. And we're going to save that variable that's provided as an input as the variable num. So if, and then breathing room brackets, 2 equals, and then I'm variable expansion or parameter expansion num, like breathing room, square bracket, semicolon, then do echo equals, and then the number that's parameter expanded. So something new that you see here is elif. Now elif will always evaluate inside of the if and the phi. So if you put the elif or the else after the phi, you'll get an error. It needs to have an if statement before it. These are additional conditions that can be added, and you can add as many elifs as you want. You can only have one if and one else, one phi. So else and elif are similar but different. Elif is more similar to if. Elif is an additional condition, and it will match one time. So let's say my number is 2 that I provided my prompt. So 2 equals 2, then 2 equals 2 is going to be the output. It'll stop running, it'll go to the phi statement and close out. But if I said 1 in my prompt here, and it evaluated this, and that was false, then it goes to the next condition. Is 2 greater than 1? And then it'll output 2 is greater than 1. But this else statement will not run because it already matched. It'll go straight to the phi and close this out and go to the next command. So what is the else? And you can see the else is slightly different from the other two because there's no square brackets. There's no conditions. And that's because it's a catch-all. If the conditions above aren't met, then I'm going to say, I don't know. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at this script. So I'm going to save and then I'm going to run if.sh. What number am I thinking? I'm going to say 1 to start. So 1, 2 is greater than 1, but 2 does not equal 1. The first statement does not evaluate, so it doesn't output this command. This one evaluated, so it's good. So why didn't this run? Well, that's because the first two already had evaluated and one of them was true. So let's make it so that the first two statements are not true. Let's give it the number 9. And it says, I don't know, which is the catch all because it doesn't meet either one of these conditions. So just to reiterate, there is no limit to how many elif statements that you can put inside of the if and phi. But else and if and phi can only be used one time. All right. I'll see you in the next section where we learn how to combine conditions in our logic with bash. And it's very similar to chaining commands. I'm really looking forward to seeing you there.